Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. I'm Charisse Walker here today with Stephanie Riel. I just love her story and love what she's done because she has been that successful business entrepreneur and realized that even though it was doing really, really well in the 6 figures, 7 figures, it just wasn't for her and she realigned to something else. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So Stephanie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I think I'm so passionate now about helping entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs, build things from an aligned and authentic place because I did it the wrong way. And I give myself a lot of grace with that because I started my first business at 22 and that was before entrepreneurship was cool. My friends thought I was crazy because I was living a side hustle life. I use air quotes around side hustle, but people didn't know what the side hustle was then. And they just thought I was wild because I was working all nights and weekends while maintaining a full-time job to build my own business. And I turned that business into a full-service marketing agency for small businesses. And we won awards and I won awards. And that life looked so great from the outside, but I always knew something was off. It always felt unfulfilling. It actually caused a lot of dis-ease and really caused me a lot of stress and a lot of burnout. And so now I am so passionate about, because of the walk and the journey that I've been on, helping people come back to their bliss and find alignment and build businesses from a really aligned and intentional place so that we're not just living a life that looks really great, but that it feels really great too.
Okay, so you just said a whole bunch of stuff that I want to unpack because first of all, like that's the whole mission of this podcast is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying it again. Yeah. And second, it takes a lot of guts, first of all, to work a ton of, because you had a full-time job and then you're doing this as a side hustle and then you built it to an award-winning company, right? Yeah. So it takes a lot of guts to say, you know what, this isn't for me and I'm out. So yeah. What led you to that point to then finally say, no, I'm going to follow my passion?
It's so interesting when you said that. I was just reminded of a story that I haven't thought about in a while. I believe in the universe or source or God. You can use all those words interchangeably. But for me, I kept on getting like dream clients and all these awards. And I was like, oh, this must be a sign that I'm on the right path. Yeah. But I was using it to try to validate something that just didn't feel good inside. And whenever I say the feel good, I always point to the area right below my rib cage, which is our solar plexus and our chakra system, because that's where I can feel it. And I know if you probably get that gut feeling sometimes, anybody who's listening, you know what I mean? Where, maybe that wasn't the right decision to make. It sunk in, it made you feel a certain way, but you did it anyway. Right. Well, I was living my life that way and something felt so off, but I just kept on pushing and forcing it to happen. And so I think it was a mixture of events. My body had been whispering to me for a while that I needed to slow down and change things. I intuitively knew that something was wrong with my adrenals, even though at the time I didn't even know what that was. But I'm an intuitive. I get messages in different ways, and that had come through to me. And then months later, I had a doctor tell me that, and I was like, oh, that must have been what that meant. But my solution to that at the time was to launch 6 new things for my own business, in addition to running 36 client accounts and managing a team of 8 all over the country. And so I wasn't listening. Yeah. And I was getting all of the little signs from my body along the way, feeling really unfulfilled and just knowing that I really didn't even like running a marketing agency anymore. I actually worked for somebody's marketing agency in the early days of when I started my business. And I didn't want to do that because of how stressful it was. Yeah. And like you're tied to a desk and it just didn't seem, I loved my mentors and they're still the women that own that agency that I live in Arizona and they still own it's a thriving marketing agency and they've been incredible friends and mentors over the years. But it just wasn't the life for me. And then I went and I built what I knew, right? So I built an agency and I did it a little bit differently. And I'm still really proud of the success that we had and the awards those were great, but I didn't do it for the awards. I did it to help the small businesses and help their businesses succeed. Some of my best performing years in business were during COVID. And while that's incredible, we had 30% year over year growth 2 years in a row in 2020 and 2021, which was incredible. But my true like excitement was being able to help my clients survive and thrive in COVID and pivot and still find ways to make money and to make an impact on their communities all over the country. And so those moments felt really good, but there was something that always felt really off. The moment when you asked that question that came into my mind is, it was 2022. So I had started my business originally as a side hustle 11 years earlier. And it started as a solopreneurship, and then I grew it into a full service marketing agency with team and clients all over the country, which is no small feat. I'm very proud of that. But I remember I just kept on, I had I had two business coaches at the time, and I was talking to them at length about this decision. And I just knew that I couldn't keep on doing it. I had no more to give. I didn't enjoy it anymore. I was managing a team and all the clients and all the things that I didn't even want to do. It's not even what really lit me up. And so one of my coaches, in the same week, I had one of my coaches tell me that as much as I was going to hate hearing it, she was going to give me permission, that I could give myself permission to change my mind and do something different.
Right.
And that, I hated hearing that in the moment. I was like, oh my gosh, we were very similar as individuals, probably why I was attracted to her as a coach. She had so much, a great track record and a lot of success, but she knew that I was going to feel resistance to that permission, but I needed to give myself permission. Yeah. And then my other coach, we really worked on, okay, it was important for me to make sure that my clients and my team were taken care of. And I didn't have to do that, but that's always, I like to treat people the way that I want to be treated. And so I really didn't want to leave anybody high and dry. So I found new providers for clients for any contracts that were still going, and made those introductions and made the transitions as smooth as possible. And I also helped my team members find new jobs. So, and I didn't have to do that, but that was important to me because I had developed a mentorship relationship with a lot of my team, and I wanted to help them make up for that lost income, because it wasn't lost on me that closing a business was it was a big impact to my team and their families too. And I hired and employed mostly women who were moms and had teams of had families of their own and responsibilities. And that was just something that was really important to me. So my other coach was helping me with that. But that same week that I gave myself permission to close the business, and I started visualizing this reality of not having this business anymore, and helping my team members, because that was actually the biggest thing. Like the clients, I'll easily find them a service provider. I had been in the marketing industry for over 14 years. So I knew a lot of great people that could take good care of my clients, but I was really concerned about my team. And once I started visualizing that reality and knowing that they could be cared for, and that we had some other things lined up for them, it started to lighten the grip of that connection to the business. But that same week, I got awarded one of the top 100 CEOs in Phoenix. Wow. And it wasn't public, but I found out that I was getting it. It immediately, an old version of me could have been like, but look, here's the evidence, you should keep on doing it. And I actually used that to fuel me even more as evidence of, yes, I'm a great entrepreneur, but I don't have to keep on doing this business. I can find something that lights me up. So that was a really long-winded answer, but like, I have learned so much in my life. It's usually not just one thing, it's a lot of things. And it was that compounding effort of being able to give myself permission, being able to visualize what that new reality would start to look like, and knowing that I was taking care of the people that really mattered to me, which are my clients. Because the awards were great, but I never did it for the awards. Yeah. I really wanted to help people. And I saw small businesses really getting taken advantage from a lot of marketing companies out there. And that would make me so mad that I started offering all these other services to make sure people were taken care of. But once I started to really visualize that new reality and know that my team was going to be okay, and it just felt so much lighter for me because I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do. That's when I really got to start to dream and explore what that new life for me looked like and give myself permission to do that.
That's brave. because I talk with a lot of family and friends, and they hate their jobs, and they're entrepreneurs, and they just feel like, well, I have to do this because it's my lifestyle and the lifestyle they've created because they overspend. And so they're so used to it that they're not willing to walk away to find their passion.
Yes.
So because of that, multiple heart attacks or multiple health issues, because your body really will tell you enough is enough. And I think for me, I was in the proprietary education industry where I was running colleges as well, and even opening up a college. I loved that business, but what I loved more was my family. And when I realized I was gone 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week, it wasn't worth it to me, because I was missing my kids grow up. And so for me, walking away was great, but not everybody feels like they can. And so the fact that, it's sad that we have to give ourselves permission, right? But we're so used to, from an early age, asking permission to do things. And so, it's good that your coach recognized that, and that you did, give yourself permission and you moved on.
Yeah.
So that's
It
cool.
doesn't mean that it wasn't hard though. I think, for anybody listening, like it was hard. I had to grieve that loss of that business. Like I had to grieve a loved one, and I've dealt with grief a lot in my life personally, but I wasn't anticipating the grief that comes from letting that go, because not only was it my business, it was my business baby. I had it for over a decade, but I also named the business after me. So my last name is Riel. My online brand for over a decade was Real Deal, and the first company was Real Deal Marketing. So I didn't know who I was without that business, and I can say that really confidently now. But gosh, it was an identity crisis too, and I think it was really hard, but it was absolutely the right thing for me, because it just wasn't right for me. And I think, like you were sharing with, what was I giving up or what was I losing by being in this field, even if you loved it? And I think that's what I started to realize, that I was doing really great things and achieving, but it was all at my own expense. I was unwell. I was just going through the motions in my life. I wasn't really actively choosing things, and I was causing a lot of stress and a lot of issues in my life that didn't need to be that way. It's a powerful position to be in, to get to choose, but it's not the usual thing, because we are in society taught, to ask permission. School teaches us that, when you can't just go up to, go to the bathroom when you need to, which is a wild programming thing, which will probably be a whole different podcast episode. But it is really powerful when we can take our power back and choose what's right for us.
No, I agree. And I had been diagnosed with MS. That's how out of alignment I was. Luckily, quitting that profession, and my husband at the time helped me to be able to pull out of it. So
I understand that completely.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But, and it's hard, because sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm a failure if I give up. Like I'm going to have to give up. And it's not that you're giving up. It's that there's something else meant. I firmly believe, and I do believe in God, that there's another purpose that you're supposed to be doing, and maybe you fulfilled that, and now it's a new chapter to move on to. So
absolutely, I do too, and I believe that it builds, because there's no accident. I mean, I'm in a very different industry now. I'm in the holistic healing space. I'm a sound healer. I just recently completed a certification to do holistic based coaching and somatic release, emotional release, because that's something that's been really powerful for me on my journey. But it looks a lot different than branding and websites and marketing and ads that I did for over a decade, right? And helped launch hundreds of brands. I still do some branding work, but I help people rebrand their lives now, because I did that and took myself through that, and really take our power back, because we get to choose. And that's something that I wasn't living in that way, and I was really out of alignment. But those things that really light me up, and the things that people have always come to me for. My dad was really ill for the majority of my life. He was diagnosed with a rare stage of cancer when I was 12 years old, and they originally gave him 6 months to live. And then we got very lucky through modern medicine and a research-based hospital that he lived for 14 years, but he passed away in 2013. And I've always been really proactive about health. Before functional medicine was cool, before a naturopath was cool, I've had a naturopathic doctor, and I have no doubt that my dad's illness and my experience with my business and my first marriage and all of those hard things that I went through absolutely have brought me to where I am, and to help me now help others. get out of the hamster wheel of life. And so I agree with you 100%, as hard as it is. And it doesn't mean it's not difficult and we bypass the feelings, because we have to feel it and be able to work through it for ourselves. But I truly believe it brings us where we're meant to be and to bring us into our purpose.
Yeah. I look at it as a tool belt, because I'm very visual. And so you have this mechanic that he starts with a screwdriver, right? And so that's your graduation from high school. You got your and maybe a tape measure or whatever. And so then it moves on to the next thing and the next thing. And I agree. Like, I used to teach college and then I ran it, and now I do real estate. I'm teaching my clients every single day about the most important financial decision that they usually will make in their lives. And so, like, education is a huge thing to me, but it came because I taught for so long. And so, no, I agree. It's building blocks little by little to get to where we need to be. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I have a question that's going to kind of throw you off probably, but
I love it. You
closed your business. Why did you not sell your business?
So I actually sold a part of the book of business, but my business at the time was so built around my identity. And a lot of my projects we were a marketing agency. So we didn't necessarily have a lot of the residual long time, because I actually didn't like working with clients for more than 3 months to 6 months. So we operated a little bit different than a lot of other agencies out there. And so we had a shorter time horizon. So it wasn't that selling the brand name and selling that book of business necessarily made sense. But I did sell off some of the projects that were still going on that we weren't going to complete, but it wasn't at the point to really sell it because of how I had structured the business. Because I think what I learned later on, after building my first business at 22 and learning everything the hard way and hiring coaches much later, I didn't build the business necessarily to sell it. I built it the way that I liked it. It's so interesting though, because in my one-on-one business mentorship that I do now, we talk first and foremost about what is that goal? Do you want to build it to sell? And I help my clients build their businesses to sell it first, if that's what they really want to do. Because I had truly, I mean, very blessed that I had a team of 8 all over the country and clients all over the country too. But it wasn't really built to sell.
Yeah.
No, being really honest. Yeah.
The reason I ask is because as an entrepreneur, I envision that people listening, they're starting out. And so where do you go? Or they're like, they're tired, kind of where you were. And now and so I want people to understand that they're like, they don't need to just close their doors. There's different ways of doing it, which is exactly what you did. And
absolutely,
to build your business with a plan and an end in mind, kind of like Stephen said that, begin with the So
and I didn't do that in my first business. And so I think that is something that I have learned now and I've worked with, and I still do consulting for multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses in the branding and marketing space, and even some business operations, just of things that I learned through my experience of managing a team and the systems you need to have in place and the processes and recurring revenue and those different elements that, at the end and when I was really deciding to close that business instead of sell it, I was so tapped out and burnt out that I was resistant. I wasn't even allowing in long-term clients. I would see a client that wanted a year relationship and I wouldn't sign them. I would refer them out to somebody else because I just couldn't do it anymore. And so it made sense for me to close the business. I've worked with some clients that want to sell their business and they're building it to sell it, but we build it strategically different that way then.
Oh, so we're going to put that to bed.
Yeah.
Now we open your new chapter of your life. So what do? You talked about you coach people, but what do you do now?
I help stressed out entrepreneurs get out of burnout and find their bliss. And I do that through 3 to 6 month coaching containers where we work together on not only goals, it could be something very tangible and business related, but more often than not, what I've learned through my entrepreneur journey, I used to try to put my personal life in one side and my business life on the other and compartmentalize everything. But we're one person. How we end up showing up in our business is often how we show up in our relationships, in our lives. How dedicated we are to our goals or our health and wellness is how we show up in our business too. And so it's really a holistic approach to life and business. I customize that for what my client needs. I am an intuitive, so I pick up on things with permission for clients, and what they need. That might include sound healing. It might include somatic breath work, or movement, other holistic based practices like nutrition and sleep. It runs the gamut to really help, because I often find that if you are an entrepreneur that's stressed out, probably not sleeping well. You're probably got a couple of pounds that you can't seem to get rid of. Your diet is probably all out of whack, or maybe you're not even eating unless it's delivered to you. So who knows what's in your food that you're eating? You're definitely probably not drinking enough water or even getting outside and seeing sunlight. I mean, I think back to those marketing agency days. I was working 16 to 18-hour days, and a lot of the meals that I was eating were either meal delivery. Thank God Instacart, existed, and Uber Eats and DoorDash. My husband at the time was also doing a lot of the cooking and helping out in those busy seasons too. But because I wasn't taking care of myself. And so we really take a holistic approach, because when we take better care of ourselves, our businesses can thrive too.
That's true. I totally agree. And as I'm like choking because I need water and I forgot to have it next to me.
I know, I'm thirsty too. I usually have a water in here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a water right now. I ran in to get into the session, and I forgot to bring my bottle of water in here.
It's me too. And of course, I'm going to die. And I think that that's really important, because it's the self-care. I remember I walked into the kitchen last week and I made myself like an actual healthy meal. And I thought, when I was working outside the house, like you're always going to, like my husband, he does not like to pack a lunch. And so he goes out every single day, and then he's complaining why he's gaining weight. Well, there's some reasons. And so I think that that's where we really do need to have a plan in our lives. You mentioned a coach, and it seems like every single call I'm on, I cannot stress the importance of a coach. And you think about it, because you have football players. They have been playing since they were 5 years old. Some of them, most of them. And now they're in the NFL. They have a coach. You have basketball. You have like anything that you do in life, especially in sports, they have coaches. But yet some people are so resistant to have a coach for business and for life. And it's just, to me, it is so essential, because you have somebody that you're accountable to, and that's helping you see differently than sometimes you see yourself.
Absolutely. And the thing that I always say, and the thing that I learned by hiring mentors and surrounding myself in, communities that there were like-minded people, entrepreneurs, people that are just starting a business, can learn a lot from somebody who's been in business for 10 years. But those people that have been in business for 10 years can learn a lot from somebody who's new too, right? But I think when you have a coach, you're still going to get there. You're still going to achieve your goal, especially if you build it intentionally from the start, which I spend a lot of time with my clients. Let's picture what your ideal life looks like and help you get there, whether that's in your business or in your self-care practices, so that you can live a more fulfilling life and show up happier for your family and your kids and your partner or your pets or your business, your company, your team. But a coach just helps you get there faster, right? All those years of wisdom. I mean, I've been in business for 15 years now. All the things that I've learned along the way, stuff that I did the wrong way. But one of digital mentors that I follow online talks a lot about, you're best equipped to help the person you were before. And that's what I'm really doing now, and doing it in a really sustainable way, because those fad diets, they never work. A business crash course isn't going to work for you either, because it's not going to teach you the foundation and the discipline that you really need to have the stamina to last in business 15 years, or to build a brand that's going to last. I mean, even though I rebranded my whole life and I stepped away from that real deal branding that I had created and hid behind for over a decade, it was a good brand because it lasted that test of time, and it was becoming known. But a good coach just helps you get there faster and not have to make as many mistakes. But I see mistakes and failures as really learning opportunities of what to do different next time. So I don't even think they're bad. But if we can accelerate that growth, amazing. And that's why I have a coach too. That's why I work with a coach, so that I can get there a little bit quicker and a little bit less painful of an experience maybe.
No, yeah. And sometimes the coaches, like I bought into many programs, and sometimes you don't get as much out of the coach, but you do out of the community. And so Some of my friends have been very expensive because of the money I've spent.
But they're great friends, so the ROI's got to be in there somewhere, right? Yeah.
So we joke all the time, like, wow, you are a really expensive friend. But I mean, it's so worth it. And it's completely changed my life. And what I realized is, I think it's Jim Rohn where he says, look around. Like I would say 5 years ago, I was laying in bed. I just had my 3rd hip surgery, severe pain, and just really upset and thinking this is what I'm doomed to, like just chronic surgeries and things like that. And I realized it's just not like that. And so when he said, look around and your 5 friends are who defined you, I was not pleased because it was these people that were sucking me dry, like constantly asking for things. And I look back now and I look at who I am around. Some of those people I don't even talk to anymore. Not because we aren't friends. You grow so much and you change. And that's the part that you have to embrace and be grateful for. So, okay. So I love to ask this question because hindsight's always 2020. And a lot of times people, like you said, you're at this path and other people are still back here. So if you were 18 years old, well, you're sitting on a park bench next to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give that person?
Without a doubt, the most critical, crucial thing that I would tell that 18-year-old girl is to trust yourself. I think so many times on my journey when I lost my path and when I lost my way a little bit and I lost my power, I was denying my own personal feelings about a situation or a person or an opportunity. And while I don't have any regrets, because I truly believe all of those hard things that I've gone through in my life have led me where I am and allow me to serve from a place that I'm in now, from that real life experience. I do think we grew up in a world where we're taught not to trust ourselves. We're taught to put our expertise or ask permission from a teacher or an authority figure, or, and we lose that inner guidance, and it's so strong and it's so divinely led. It's our God-given ability to be able to know what's right for us and to be able to feel it. And those gut feelings. And I think about those times where I didn't trust myself or I questioned it and I was stuck too much in my brain and not enough from my heart. And it really led me down a very windy path that I could have avoided. So I would, without a doubt, tell that 18-year-old self and anybody, the answer inside. You just got to remember to trust yourself. And you might need a coach to help you to start to really build that voice again if you've gone through years of diminishing that inner voice. And that's okay. However you need to come back to it, you can. But trusting ourselves is first and foremost important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's never a regret. Like when I ask that question, it's not meant to say, oh, what do you regret that you do differently? It's you are more wiser now. And one piece of advice, like, I don't know, I think back and think, what would I say? And every day it's a different thing because.
Absolutely.
All right. So if people want to find you, how do they get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is on my website, stephanieriel.com. That's RIEL, or on Instagram, which is where I'm most active. And that is I am Stephanie Riel.
I love that. Okay. Well, thank you, Stephanie. And Unbreakable Moms, if you are struggling and you're just not knowing, as Stephanie gives you the advice, listen to yourself because you know the answer, you know what you should do, and follow that. Don't give yourself too much time because you'll talk yourself out of it. So have a fantastic day and go change the world. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.